Go live.
Are we up and running?
Good. Yep.
All
Very
right.
good.
It is 6 o'clock, so we will call the Monday, August 26th regular board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Diane Kozer,
Here.
Don Kuski,
Here.
Steve Bowman,
Here.
Phil Henkel,
Here.
Kevin Jensen,
Here.
Miriam Vavra,
Here.
Bert Richard,
Here.
Nellie Shire,
Here.
and Doug Kuchko.
Here.
And Randy, was a proper notice given for this meeting?
Yes, please be advised that public notice of this meeting as required by sections 19.84 and 65.90 of the Wisconsin statutes has been properly given. Such notice consisted of a notice and agenda to the official newspaper, the Rice Lake Chronotype, to the Eau Claire Leader, and to radio stations WJMC and WAQE indicating the date, time, and place of the meeting. Such notice was given more than 24 hours prior to the meeting.
Thank you. A proper notice was given for this meeting. We'll now stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My country, 'tis of thee.
All right, and we have one appearance this evening. Casey, come on up to the podium. Tell us who you are. And
So I'm Casey Matthews. I'm a parent of a student that goes to Hagen. I found out a couple days ago that our lunch lady was being cut. And I figured out the amount of money, and she makes about $7,000 a year. And I think that is a shame that there was even a consideration of our lunch lady being cut. Everybody was aware in May that she was retiring and resigning. And it feels like Hagen is becoming a last resort. I know budget cuts are important, but our kids don't deserve to get these little TV dinners. Our kids are important. And I feel if us parents don't start standing up for them, you're going to cut Hagen 100%. And I get that that would be easy, but Hagen is special. The parents, the community, what we bring to Hagen, it's gorgeous and it's something nobody will ever understand. We had wanted a fence to protect our kids because we have kids that get out of the building. Well, the parents group, we were going to start fundraising for a fence for the safety of our kids. Our resources out there are limited. Cops can't get out there. We all the staff works together to protect our kids. That fence would reduce the time that they would get in the field. Well, that never happened. We were told that it was going to be considered a fence for the safety of our kids. Okay, that's fine. It didn't happen. Budget cuts. Okay. Well, we hear other things are being funded, but then the lunch lady gets cut. And then budget cuts cut our reading interventionist. Our kids deserve the same things that in town is getting. There has to be a different way for these budget cuts to also make time for our kids. So yes, I saw the posting that a lunch lady's coming. We have a week of school. What happens if we don't get a lunch lady? Who's going to do it? Staff? Staff's already stretched thin. How do we know the food's going to be regulated at a proper temperature? We have to care for these kids because they don't deserve these little TV dinners because we don't need to go back to that. So that's all I'm here for, is to stand up for our little Hagen kiddos. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Next, I would entertain a motion to approve the regular session meeting minutes from August 12th.
So moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes have been approved. Next, we have our consent agenda. We have 6 employment resignations and 11 employment recommendations. Would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion has been made to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the consent agenda has been approved. Next, we have, we get into our report section. Our first agenda item there is the approval of the Rice Lake Middle School Robotics Club and corresponding activity account.
Yes, and we had talked about this in the spring as well, the creation of a middle school robotics club, and have been working through that, but and want to take the formal step of having you as a board approve that. And then with that would also come the creation of a corresponding activity account for the robotics club. We've already had a significant community donation, and once I hear back from that individual, I'd may want to bring that forward as a commendation, but that will be up to that individual in terms of whether or not they want to be recognized. But Mr. Peterson sought out some donations, and it's going to be well funded for this year and ready to move on. So with that, would be looking for your approval for that middle school robotics club and corresponding activity account.
And I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So move.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, and that activity account has been approved. Next, we have our second reading of the 24-25 Warriors on Wisconsin Student Handbook. Did we have any changes, Mark?
No, thank you for having me again. No real changes. One thing, kind of an update in the staff listing. I think since the last time I talked to you, Chrissy Thurs did take the elementary counseling position, so I've been actively seeking a replacement for her, and I think I was able to do that over the weekend. So we'll be bringing that person to approval by the board to take her place. I do want to thank Mrs. Thurs. She spent about 17 years in some facet of alternative education in the district, and now is doing something a little different. So I'm happy to say I think we've got a great person coming in, but I'm still working on all that hiring process and getting that person onboarded for next week. So I'm working fastly. Otherwise, no changes from what I presented to you last week or last time we met. So,
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve.
yep, Mr. Hinkle.
I'll move to approve. I have a comment too.
All right, we'll take the comment in just a moment. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion, Bill?
Just a couple minor things. On page 11, it talks about 6 areas that constitute academic misconduct. Now it lists 7. So I wonder if
Oh.
you added artificial intelligence or something like that. It's
Yeah,
artificial intelligence must not have caught that.
I'll put that to 7 if that's okay with everybody there.
That's fine.
Yep. We did add one in, our academic integrity. Like I think I mentioned when I came with the high school handbook, we had just changed that a year or two ago. And then with the AI kind of outbreak, we changed some other things. So I just got to make that 6 to 7.
And then when does the half credit personal financial literacy kick in? Is that next year?
That's for
25.
this year's
2 years.
freshman, I believe.
So
25, 26.
so
this
25,
year's
26. So not this year.
for the kiddos that are freshmen this year, or
Yes.
Freshman, it's a graduation requirement.
yeah, for the incoming freshmen.
Well, so then shouldn't a half credit be listed on their
Yep.
graduation requirement?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, where the graduation requirements are. That probably has to be updated in our
I didn't
Race
see where
Lake
that
book
fit in.
too. What's that?
I didn't see where that was listed on.
Yeah, so on page 16, I have a chart. It is not on there. I'll have to update that. That would be the same as our high school.
Okay.
I don't think it was updated yet. So, yep.
So I guess those were my only 2
Okay.
comments. Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And that student booklet has been approved. Next, we have the District Administrator Observation Committee meeting update.
Yeah, we met this today. All members were present. We reviewed the minutes, and then our main topic of discussion and only topic of discussion was evaluation matrix, which is basically the Google Doc questions that each board member will receive in October. And just as a reminder, every section will require some form of comment before you can move on to the next section. We're making some adjustments to some of the answers, as well as adding additional area of questioning, additional question potentially. And so we're just kind of massaging those, not a lot of changes, but just some minor changes. And so those will be, those questions will be finalized prior to October for you getting them. And then you are required to complete that, I think, by the third week of October. And then we evaluate those answers that you have about the evaluation matrix. We adjourned.
Any questions? All right, well, thank you for that update. Next, we have the curriculum committee meeting update. Diane.
Yeah, we had our meeting on August 20th. And first of all, Marcia shared updates on the summer curriculum work for us. So I'll just kind of briefly summarize what that involved. We talked about the English language arts area, and she reviewed the letters training for K4. We talked a little bit about the Amplify curriculum, and she indicated that the teachers really like it. She informed us about a new universal screener for literacy that is part of Act 20. It's called the Ames Web Plus. And she told us we can probably expect to hear more about that instead of FastBridge. If you're familiar with FastBridge in the past, that's going, and the Ames Web is coming. We also heard a little bit of a review on the high school new courses. I'll remind you that that was the English 11 course and the technical reading and writing combo course. The two were combined into one. So they were working on that over the summer. In the math area, we heard about the K5 are looking at two pilot programs for math. One is called iReady, and the other is illustrative math or illustrative math, however you want to say it. She said that there are 3 to 4 teachers per grade in the pilot studies on that. At grades 6 through 8, they're continuing to implement the illustrative math. This is their second year. And at the high school, they are working on building thinking classrooms in math. It's a way to get kids more engaged and working together, so they're not just doing computations, but they're actually talking about how they can use math to solve problems, and it's more practical and hopefully more interesting to them. They also were working on the new year-long algebra class that's designed for those who need a little bit slower pace in algebra. And at the science level, we just basically heard that they were continuing to work with the middle school and the high school on aligning the curriculum in a vertical manner, so there's consistency from middle school to high school, that we're covering everything in the science area. And then after that, she just gave us a brief little review of what was going on as far as in-service work. We reviewed the new educator in-service schedule, and she shared with us the back-to-school schedule. And then the other thing that we talked about was the new course proposal of personal finance literacy. We looked at the needs assessment that's required per policy 331. And the plan is to begin teaching that class as an elective in 25-26. And then it will be a required course in 26 and 27. Our committee supported on having them move forward with continuing the process of this new class. And the next step is the administrative review and the new course proposal. They are planning to present that to us at the next meeting on September 17th. Anybody have any questions or committee members additions?
Good report.
Okay,
All
thanks.
right, thank you for that update. Next, we have the district update for chronic absenteeism and redefining ready.
Yeah, so with this, and you've seen some of this before, but wanted to make sure, and I talked about it this morning when addressing all staff, but wanted to publicly talk about some of these things because I know Ruth Erickson is interested in some of these pieces. for instance, for the chronotype as well. But with that, the chronic absenteeism, and just for anyone watching, chronic absenteeism is defined as a student missing 10% or more of the school year for any reason. We don't include, things like school activities, a student missing because they had to leave early for a sporting event or something like that. But with that, we've been tracking it tracking it for the last 8 years. And with that, we had a couple of funky years in there, 1920 and 2021. But with that, just wanted to share with staff and share with you as a board and share with our public that those numbers are trending in the right direction. And we're going to see some fluctuations from time to time with that. But overall, numbers are, as a whole, trending in the direction we want. And, for instance, the high school last year, as I'm looking at that one, had the lowest percentage of chronic absenteeism that they've seen in the last 8 years. And that's, this doesn't just come by happenstance. We have Stacia Cross, who's an attendance coordinator, working with administrators, working with our police school liaison officers, working with people in the office, working with counselors, working with families. And we want to continue to improve those percentages. Students need to be in school. So I'm going to be successful. We want students here if they're at all able to be here. And we're going to continue to work on that and continue to keep that a priority in the district. I know if you watch the news, it's not just a Rice Lake thing. It's an issue all across our country in every school district, and an issue that so many places are trying to address. So wanted to continue to point that out, and we'll continue to get updates, at least every halfway through the year and the end of the year. But does anybody have any questions on that to start with? Okay.
Is there a difference between chronic absenteeism and what's the other term? Truancy.
Yeah.
Because truancy is 10 days a year, and you mentioned chronic absenteeism is 10% of the year. Is there a difference?
Yep. And truancy, technically, the definition by law is a student is truant when they're unexcused any part of 5 days in a semester. And so with it, yes. So yes, there is a difference there. A student could be out ill and those absences are excused. And depending on the situation, they may be excused and so therefore not considered truant. But technically, a student could be late every day for first hour, unexcused for 5 days in a row, and that really would meet the definition of truancy technically. And so with that, yes, there is a difference. So the truancy piece is unexcused any part of 5 days in a semester. To meet
So
that.
chronic absenteeism, is that like a hyper truancy?
Not necessarily. Again, depends on the nature of the absences, and really a student could be unexcused 4 days in one semester, and then in January when the new semester starts over, so does that clock, and so they wouldn't be considered truant until they would hit that 5th day in that next semester. But we do have pieces in place. Staff are checking those attendance reports on a weekly basis, and so once a student hits, I know typically, and I'm going to look to our team here. I mean, typically, if a student hits like a 3rd unexcused absence, that's triggering a parent meeting, and so we want to have parents come in, whether that's Stacia and an administrator and the family, and the purpose isn't to punish parents. It's, hey, how can we work with you? Are there issues that we can help with or problem solve together to help have your student here every day or when they're able to be here?
So why do we monitor chronic absenteeism and not just truancy? Is it one a marker for the other?
Yeah, they really are. They definitely are. They go hand in hand.
I'll just clarify one thing. I think
Can you come up to the podium, please?
like we've kind of talked about, I work with attendants a lot. So one thing, for example, with the chronically absent is a student can have a medical doctor's excuse and it goes beyond the 18 days, which is our 10%. That gets reported to the DPI as chronically absent. So that's sometimes the difference between unexcused and the truancy piece to chronically absent and how they kind of add up. So I've looked into that because I'm like, if a student has a severe illness, we are still getting dinged for that, even though it might be medically excused. So there's different cases like that. So, and Randy's correct. Sometimes kids kind of get saved by the bell a little bit on the truancy where they are just right at the cusp, and then they do get to reset at semester. So it is two different things. We track, the best way I can say we track truancy is what Mr. Dross at the high school. We have a 3-day letter that goes out, then we have a 5-day meeting. And then if it goes beyond that, then we end up having, one thing Stacey's done is developed a great partnership with our assistant DA in Barron County. So unfortunately, sometimes it goes through the court system. So I have that data too, but it's a little bit different than that chronically absenteeism that Randy's speaking of. So
As long as you're there, Mark, do we have any go the municipal route at all? I know sometimes
we've
we
used
use
the
that.
municipal for tardies, and we've done that once in a while for, I would say we haven't used the municipality in a while because we had such a great thing going with Barron County right now. It was pretty backlogged around COVID and whatnot. And again, Stacia and Cassandra Lane, when she was here, worked hard to get that partnership going. So that, and again, it's about working with families. I know when we send a letter out, it's pretty direct because it quotes all of the state statutes. So it sounds kind of intimidating when that letter goes out, but really it's about trying to meet and problem solve how we can get kids in school. So.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Then moving on, just a few pieces to talk about. And you've seen some of these pieces before, but in terms of redefining ready and really a scorecard for each level of things we focus on, in terms of working to ensure that students, by the time they graduate from high school, are life ready, that they're career ready, and that they're college ready if they're going to go in that direction. And so these are pieces that each level has been working on over the last year. I think they're pretty close to being finalized. I think building leadership teams want to take one more look at them prior to formally publishing those pieces. And I'm sure there will be tweaks over time in terms of pieces we're going to look at. And I know, for instance, one of the pieces related to behavior, and sorry, when it's in this mode, I can't blow it up. But maybe if I do this 1 second, maybe not. Anyways, is the self-regulation piece with regard to behavior. And so, for instance, at the elementary level, looking at the percentage of students with less than 2 major behavior infractions. I believe the middle school has the same thing in terms of percentage with less than 2 major discipline referrals. Oops, sorry, I've got the high school on a different one. Let me peek at that. And I think that was, I don't remember if you had something specifically related to that, or Kurt, or not, but those pieces, taking a look at those. And then also, I know administration has been digging into things like, okay, what's our percentage of students involved in co and extracurricular activities, athletics, things like that over the course of a year, and looking at those pieces as well. And I'll talk about it a little bit later, but one of the goals with GoFan, all of our students have a free pass into district athletic events and things like that. And so they will all be issued a season pass that if they have a smartphone, they can have that pass on their phone. And I know we're going to track that. I shouldn't say we, I'm not, high school plans to track that, to look at student involvement. Our students coming to various things. If students are not attending, can other students, reach out to them and try and engage them and get them to come to school events and activities and be a part of that to increase student engagement. I know that's one of the pieces that they're working on, for instance.
Any questions? All right, thank you for that update.
Yeah.
Next, we get into the information part of our agenda. We have the 24-25 student enrollment update.
Yeah, and with that, sorry, I'm gonna grab that. Got that in your packet? All right. So you have that in your packet at this point. Right now, and again, third Friday in September is the number that counts. And, one of the big pieces right now, for instance, the open enrollment, that's hit or miss. That's not an exact number. That we'll, see in the first week of school, which students actually open and roll in, which students actually open and roll out. And then we'll have that taken care of. For instance, I was on the phone today with a couple of families who are still working through that process. But as of today, right now, the total enrolled is right about 2,100. So, but after that third Friday in September, we'll have a solid number for you. And a part of that is that's going to be a reduction compared to last year, but we had about 180 some seniors graduating last year, and then coming into kindergarten, you can see we have 127. So that's going to be a significant reduction there for that. But yeah, we'll have a solid number for you by the end of September.
Isn't 2,100 quite a bit higher than we were projecting even 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's probably in the ballpark, but yeah, yeah, we've had, it is a little higher. You're right, Mr. Kuski. I'm thinking even just talking with Katie Wick, I know in the last couple of weeks, we've had about 25 enrollments. So, yeah, so it's been a good thing. She's been busy.
Okay, thank you.
15 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there we go. We had 15. Was that just at the middle school? Okay. Okay. But 15. All right. Just today. So it might be significantly different yet by the time we give you that report. That's a good thing.
Yep. No, it's great.
Keep
Thank
them
you.
coming.
Yeah.
All right, next, WASB Public Policy Correspondent Update. What you got for us, Phil?
There's not a lot of activity, so I spent a great deal of time trying to make my report a little bit longer. I don't know if
Thanks for being so conscientious, Phil. I really appreciate it.
Bert and Steve really like it when it's long. The DPI is working on a waiver process concerning the UW guaranteed admissions of high school students. And it kind of goes back to what Randy said about legislation getting passed and then it doesn't really get done. It seems to be a variation of that. But the statement, students shall be ranked on the basis of academic achievement, and the sole criterion for ranking shall be the pupil's GPA. Well, apparently some school districts don't do that. So the DPI is working on a process to resolve ties in GPA, to work with districts that apply competency-based grading and that implemented weighted or non-traditional GPA systems. So just FYI, budget preview for next year. The budget is going to be a 2025-27 budget, and it's going to be affected by a different composition of the legislature because of redistricting probably. Things to deal with are the $325 per pupil automatic increase for centuries, if that's going to change, and funding for vouchers might change. So the budget process is that this September, state agencies such as the DPI submit their budget requests to the governor. And in January and February, the governor proposes his budget. Legislature thinks about it. April and May, Joint Finance Committee comes up with their changes to the budget and sends it to the legislature. And then in summer, the Senate and Assembly develop their own versions with suggestions by whoever the minority party is. In the middle of June, they have a floor debate, hopefully pass a budget, send it to the next House for approval. If the other house doesn't approve it exactly, they have a conference committee to reconcile the two versions of the budget. Once they reconcile their two versions of the budget, they send it to the governor, who can approve it or do his partial vetoes. And then the two referenda that were going to take away the power of the governor to deal exclusively with money that the federal government gives the state were both defeated. So that is all.
All right. Thank you for that update. Upcoming meeting schedule. On Wednesday, September 18th at noon, there is a WSB legal and legislative video. No registration required for that. Then on October 2nd, it's a Wednesday at noon. Registration is required for this. It's a public participation at board meetings is the title of the meeting. And that is a virtual meeting. And then the 24 fall regional meeting, the 2024 WSB fall regional meeting and workshop, that will be held in Hayward this year. Registration is required. If you can attend that, please let Colleen know. And then in November 12th at noon, there's applying Wisconsin's open meeting law to your board meetings. Registration is required for that virtual meeting. And then the 2025 WSB State Education Convention, January 22nd through the 24th. If you can attend that, please let Colleen know as soon as possible. And that is the upcoming meeting schedule. Next, we have district administrator comments.
Yeah, so upcoming events, and one took place already, but we kicked off our back to school in-service week this morning in the auditorium. Started with Kevin saying a few words, welcoming staff back and talking a little bit about board members. And then Mr. Helgeson talked, we spent some time talking with staff about cybersecurity and everything related to, not everything related to that. The most pertinent pieces are related to staff members. And the first board meeting in October, Mr. Helgeson's going to be here to give a more comprehensive update to you as a board. Just because, especially with artificial intelligence, those attacks are getting better, more believable, and going to increase at an exponential rate. So I want you to be assured it's something the district is staying on top of as well, and educating our staff and general public. Then after that, I said a few words about the district goals, and then to talk about even the attendance and the redefining ready pieces. Poked a little fun at myself and some other things as well. Then we welcomed our new staff. We always introduce our new staff for the year individually, and then did our 5, 10, 15 year, so on and so forth recognition. Our highest level this year was 30 years of service to the district, and we had 3 people there: Belinda Cernick, Wendy Halverson, and Amy Pelly. So, and congrats to them and everyone who received years of service awards. And then Marcia had a few words and to get us ready to move on. And then staff spent the next couple of hours meeting with their either grade level teams or subject area teams, working on curriculum, and that took them to the midday. And then the afternoon was a host of things, either additional work time or EMRT teams, emergency medical response team meetings, building leadership teams, collaboration, and then tomorrow will be a building in-service day. Wednesday is a district in-service day where the staff members have collaboration for part of the day and professional development for part of the day. And then Thursday, we'll kick it off with 5th grade and freshmen first day and new students as well. And then at the elementary level, scheduled parent-teacher conferences. So, and then next Tuesday, everyone's back and we're fully rolling on the 3rd. So it's good. It's here and it's time. Also spent a little bit of time talking. Actually, I didn't spend time talking about it, but sent out some communication regarding GoFan. And with that, I just wanted to briefly point out where that is. And so that's an online ticketing system where individuals will be able to, you can buy a season pass, individual tickets, to events, and I know it's on the high school page. I know Aaron had something on social media as well. There it is right there on the high school. Oops, come on, sorry. There it is. And so our GoFan page, and with that, you can scan that QR code. And also, just to reassure people, we will have credit card readers as well. If you have someone, for instance, that doesn't have a smartphone, credit card readers will work as well at our attendance gates. And so it's going to moving toward, we still do accept cash this fall, but by winter sports season and activity season, we want to be totally cashless. And so, and with that, I would just always encourage people to check out our website and Facebook page for updates.
All right, any questions? Thank you for that update. Now I would entertain a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851C. And that's for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation. And then 19.851E, that's to deliberate and negotiate the purchasing of public properties. And 19.851F, and that's considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories would be the third item. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Would you go to close?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Don Kuski,
Yes.
Steve Bowman, Phil Hinkle, Kevin Jensen,
Yes.
Miriam Vavra, Bert Richard,
Yeah.
Nellie Shire,
Yes.
Doug Kuchko,
Yes.
and Diane Kozer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ellen. Thank you. Yeah,
Hey, Josh.
there you go.